Hello, and thank you for joining me live or on the replay. My talk today is 50 Years on Mute, How I Found My Voice by Listening to the Voice of God. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?" And I said, "Here am I, send me." Hi, I'm Melissa Whiteford St. Clair, entrepreneur, poet, and founder of White Girl Advocacy, an educational platform where I share shared history while doing my white girl homework. I had a strong call towards social justice in 2020. As an uninformed white woman, I began a course of study for white people committed to learning more about racism and systemic racism. Through a godsend, I discovered the power of poetry as a means of expression and transformation, and I found my voice in the fight for social justice and equity. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of my path, a journey that began in faith, led me through the joys and challenges of a military lifestyle, and ultimately guided me toward advocacy for anti-racism. I stand before you today with gratitude and a profound sense of purpose. The journey from a small rural town in Maryland to becoming an advocate for anti-racism has been remarkable, marked by divine guidance, life-changing encounters, and a transformative commitment to justice and equity. I know that in my lifetime, God was instrumental in placing the people on my path for various reasons. Pastor Elaine is definitely one of them. I have gone from being the shy one in the room to becoming an advocate for social justice vocally. I could not have imagined for myself any of this, and now I can't ignore it. I'd like to open by sharing a poem, Awaken. I wrote this poem a month into my journey on the matter of race. Awaken. Now is the time to awaken, to equity forsaken, the opportunity to right wrongs, start a journey to sing a freedom song, dismantle racism. Come on, my friends, let us hack at the root. Once you know, and I am resolute. Our sisters and brothers have been waiting too long. My journey began in a rural community in Harford County, Maryland. My family has a long history in the community where I was guided in my faith as I grew. And like a Hallmark small town story, I married my high school sweetheart. I think somebody else mentioned that in an earlier testimony. And he was commissioned into the U.S. Marine Corps. During my military spouse's nearly 30-year career, I leaned on my faith along with family and friends to guide me through all the celebrations and trials of a military lifestyle. I was a military spouse during an era where we advocated quietly to get our needs met when presented with issues regarding military housing or health care. And I am so proud of today's military spouses who lift their voices about lifestyle concerns. And I continue to be an advocate for military spouse employment. I had a strong desire to thrive professionally alongside my service member. Discovering a career path for myself while living a military lifestyle was challenging. So I became an entrepreneur, starting my own virtual assistant business, very much a behind-the-scenes gig, and that suited me well. After 30 years of supporting my husband and military families, we settled in South Carolina. My life has always been steeped in history and tradition, And our new community was also filled with a rich history that we were eager to explore. Some people think I'm lucky, and maybe it seems that way. However, I know things may have gone differently without a strong belief in God and dedication to my faith. Is it a coincidence that the right people show up at the right time? I don't think so. I call them God winks. God continued to create a path for me that led me to advocate for anti-racism efforts, utilizing poetry as a processing mechanism and communication tool. The unusual trajectory of my desire to help others can only be the work of God in my life. My journey to becoming a social justice advocate began on May 25th, 2020, with the death of George Floyd. I'm sure that name is familiar to many of you. I remember the day so vividly because it was also my wedding anniversary. My husband and I love celebrating our anniversary, May 25th, and May 25th, 2020 was tainted not only by the recent pandemic stay-at-home orders, but also by the televised coverage of George Floyd dying under the knee of a police officer in Minneapolis. It was hard to process. A stirring in my soul began to arise. At that time, I had no idea how it would change me. And you don't know what you don't know. I was introduced to the creator of the program On the Matter of Race, White People Committed to Beginning the Journey Together by Dr. Lynn Maureen Hurdle, and was accepted into the program for my first 6-month course in September 2020. The program was enlightening, informative, and inspirational. At the end of each twice-monthly session, we had homework. With a love of learning, I was no stranger to homework. However, processing all the information and feelings it stirred in me was difficult. Whether it was unconscious or God-driven, I began to process my homework through the lens of poetry. Here's another poem, Bruised. I am sharing outward how I'm looking inward as I'm on a journey to learn more about race in America, for a better understanding of constructs long-standing. Far from the accusations of race baiting and bigotry, my message is and will be unity. Strong words against me being used for expressing my views, labels I won't claim, but I admit the bruise. Giving myself and others grace as I continue my course of study on the matter of race. And to share an update, I began level 5B course with Dr. Lynn last week, and that course is now being co-led by her son Justin, and by God's blessings, the poetry continues. I dove into studying and seeking knowledge to understand the African American experience throughout history. Living in the South gives me many opportunities to visit areas that provide eye-opening experiences. Harriet Tubman inspired me in my early studies on the matter of race. We were both born in Maryland, which also intrigued me and made me want to learn more about her history. I have always been kind, but I was on a mission to become a better human. I could no longer hide behind my ignorance and lack of knowledge. Psalm 37:4 says, "Listen to God in the silence of your heart, and you will know his perfect plans for you." After completing the program's first level, I had quite a compilation of poetry. I shared that poetry with my husband and a dear friend. Independently and within a week or so of each other, they both said, "You have to do something with this." I felt the undeniable words of God being delivered by two of the dearest people in my life. I was listening. Following this divine guidance, I began to self-publish my first book of poetry, Homework, a collection of poems sparked by one white woman's journey on the matter of race. It was a big undertaking, especially amid a chaotic household move, but I was determined to release the book on March 10th, 2021. March 10th is Harriet Tubman Day. A portion of the proceeds from the sale of each book would be donated to the Harriet Tubman Monument in Beaufort, South Carolina. God provided me with the energy and motivation to accomplish that goal. The nudge to do more and step outside my comfort zone even further became clear. I prayed and prayed to be sure the message was correct. Remember, I had spent my life supporting others in the background. It took a lot of prayer and preparing myself to begin taking my written words to share at open mic nights or other public events. That once silent woman actually enjoys sharing her poetry and message in a public format? That certainly was a God wink. Are you beginning to see how, by listening to God's voice, I found my own voice? After completing levels 2 through 4 on the matter of race, another book of poetry evolved titled Heartwork, a heart-centered collection of poems. And of course, a book named Heartwork had to be released on Valentine's Day, don't you agree? That was February 14th, 2023. Opportunities appear in amazing ways as I partake on this journey. It can only be God winks that provided me each of them, because I can't believe it was a coincidence. I enlisted the coaching of Elise Smith of Divinely Driven Results to guide me through the process of creating a business that also creates an impact on the lives of others. She shows entrepreneurs how to run their businesses without disconnecting from their faith, family, and friends. Using poetry to find my way of processing racism and all that I was learning was very impactful personally. I wanted to share the use of creative outlets with others as a way to process their personal journeys. While working with a speaker author coach on Elise's team, Tiffany Berg, White Girl Advocacy was born. The mission is to build a community of lifelong learners and advocates for social justice. A ministry using education, social media, speaking opportunities, and poetry readings to share this journey for social justice. There has been some difficulty when someone first hears white girl advocacy. Wait, what? White girls need advocacy? Well, it gives me an opportunity to expound and help others view that message through a larger lens. No, I'm a white girl and an advocate for social justice. And in fact, Pastor Elaine and I spoke about this early on to ensure the message was clear. Poetry holds a unique importance to many people for various reasons. It's like a mirror that reflects the world's beauty and its flaws. And through the rhythm and words of poetry, I found a way to channel my thoughts, emotions, and experiences. As I embarked on my journey of advocating for racial justice and equity, poetry became a powerful means of expression. It allows me to dive deep into the issues, explore my privilege and biases, and connect with others who share similar experiences and concerns. Poetry transcends boundaries and speaks to the heart in a way that prose often cannot. I've had a few white men push back on my social media posts where I'm sharing my truths about my journey. But that just gave me more fodder for another poem that you heard earlier, Bruised. Along the way, after hearing my story, a first-time acquaintance, a white woman working at a visitor center housed in a former plantation house, gifted me a copy of the New Testament, a Gullah translation of the New Testament of the Christian Bible. And here is that copy of the New Testament. Gullah is a Creole language in the cultural heritage of African Americans, particularly in South Carolina and Georgia. I had a profound reaction to this gift. I knew it would become a big part of my daily devotions at that moment. This experience was a reinforcement that my work was 100% God-led. The people who have entered my life, whether briefly or for an extended season, have left indelible footprints on my heart, shaping me into the person I am today and awakening me to new understandings. There is a quote by Henry J.M. Nguyen. Pay attention to the people God puts in your path if you want to discern what God is up to in your life. From the quiet rural town of my upbringing and the whirlwind of a military life to creating a new life outside the military, God's guidance and my faith have been my steadfast companions. Divine guidance led me to poetry to process and express my journey. It became a bridge, connecting my evolving understanding of racism to a creative outlet. God's hand guided me as I embarked on the path of advocacy and poetry. As I traced my path from a rural farm in Maryland to the advocacy and poetry that now define my mission, I am humbled by the divine guidance that has led me here. I cannot ignore the God winks, the providence, the divine appointments that have shaped my journey. I am forever changed, committed to advocating for social justice and equity as God continues to lead the way. After 50 years on mute, I now use my voice because I listen to the voice of God. Before I close, I would like to leave you with a poem, Reconcile. Reconcile. I am white, the color of oppression. My face itself is a microaggression. Though I will never be able to walk a mile, and conflict leaders inform me to do more than smile, I am on a journey to reconcile. This is my journey. Thank you for letting me share it. I am continuing to do my #whitegirl homework. Keep doing your homework. Stay open to the voice of God. I'll quote Psalm 37:4 again. Listen to God in the silence of your heart, and you will know his perfect plans for you. Let's be better individuals and better neighbors. Please visit whitegirladvocacy.com to learn more and connect with me. I will check the comments after signing off. Thank you to Pastor Elaine for the opportunity to share my journey. And in closing, I would like to honor the lives of 5 people enslaved by my white ancestors by saying their names aloud. Jane, Dina, Jean, Jess, and Jack. Thank you.